Hello, welcome to my channel. Today is a speed redraw of my first Mysterytale page that I did almost 8 years ago. I'll also be reading the first chapter of Mysterytales. Let's begin. It was just a normal day, which meant it was a slow day case-wise for Sans. He was working hard in his office when there was a knock, a croak, at his office door. A new case, he thought, as he walked over to the door, but before he could open it, a green frogget tried to wiggle through the small doggy door that he had for the annoying neighborhood dog that he fed. The frogget was small, but not enough to fit through, and got stuck about halfway through. Sans sighed, seeing it had gotten itself stuck. I didn't think froggets were stuck up, he laughed to himself. Hey there, little buddy. Why don't you let me open that door before you croak, okay? He asked as he scratched his head. Froggets are not the sharpest pencil in the drawer, and this one was totally dead set on getting through that doggy door. The little frogget squirmed, trying to go back the way it came, but it was stuck good. I'm stuck. I can't get out, it grumbled. Ouch, it cried as the doggy door swung down from the struggle and hit square on the poor monster's head. I think you're a tadpole stuck there, little fella. Here, let me help you with that, I told the frogget, who was now hidden partly by the doggy door. He bent over and lifted the doggy door up to prevent it from smacking the creature's head again. He put his hand on the little green frog-like creature. Its skin was very slippery, as was to be expected. There was no reason for this little thing to be stuck in that door, Sans huffed to himself. Stop moving and hold still, would you? You're in there good. There was only one option at this point, he sighed, because that was to use a shortcut. He hated doing this in front of potential clients, mainly because he didn't like just anyone knowing he could teleport. Okay, little guy, I have an idea, but this will make you a little nauseous. The frogget sighed nervously. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. His magic swirled around the pair, and they disappeared. They reappeared a few feet away. There you go, little guy, he said as the little frogget swayed. Shortcuts can be disoriented to some monsters, as Sans has found out one too many times. He offered the frogget a piece of monster candy to help sort itself out. It started to croak up a storm as it reoriented itself. Sans' frogget was rusty, but he could understand it well enough through the croaks and ribbits to figure out that a few of its friends had disappeared. But no dust was found, and there was rumors that another human was around, and that he had a lot of G if Sans took the case. I'll take the case, Sans said, though he would later regret not taking this case more seriously at the beginning. After accepting the case, the frogget's croaks and ribbits became untranslatable. Sans thought the poor guy was going to pass out. He tried to calm it down by asking it all that it knew on the case. That worked well enough, as it calmed down enough for him to get the information he needed to start on the case. Thank you so much. Here's part of the G, it said, tossing a bag of G onto his desk. Part of it spilt out. He wiped it off the table and put it back in the bag. "I'll keep you updated on what I find," he said as he ushered the Frogget out his now open door. After closing the door, he looked at the doggy door inside. "Guess I'm going to have to put a sign there now. Do not enter unless you are a dog." He sat back at his desk and made a few phone calls. None of his normal contacts said they knew anything about the missing Frogget, but even the toughest of them sounded scared. While a few were from his home dimension, a few were from the Fell dimension. He would have expected his universe's monsters to be scared at the thought of a human running amok, but even the Fell monsters were scared. He'd been working with the Fell versions since the strange anomaly merged their two dimensions, but that was a different mystery, one that had yet to be solved. He decided to head down to the local precinct where he had an inside man. Okay, it was his brother, but that still counts. The place was hopping, even more than that Frogget. He went to the lady at the front desk, a nice rabbit monster who moonlit as a night manager for a local Fell 2-star motel. "Is Officer Russ in?" he asked, knowing the answer already, since his squad car was out front. He was the only one in the precinct who had a squad car with a "cool dude" bumper sticker on it. Being the chief's favorite had its advantages. "Maybe," she said, looking up as she put the file down she'd been reading. "Why?" she asked. "Oh, I want to rob a bank and just want to make sure he's on the other side of town so I don't have to deal with him." Sans smiled sarcastically. She rolled her eyes. "I could have you arrested for that, right?" she mused. "Okay, I'll give it arrest. But it's personal business," he said as he leaned against the desk. He tried to read the file upside down that she had been reading to see if there was any information he could use later. The file had a picture of a monster that was handcuffed in the lobby that talked about the perpetrator being a blue magic user. This is interesting, he thought to himself. "In other words, you're on a case and you want your brother's official help," she smirked, moving the file under a magazine. "Hey, can a guy visit his bro without a reason? Not you, and not here," she said as she rolled her eyes. "He's with Chief Undine," she retorted. He raised his eyebrow. "Fine, I'll get him," she sighed as she slid back in her chair and left the room. He turned and sat down in one of the chairs in the lobby. The receptionist went down the hall and stopped at the door labeled "Undine, Chief of Police." She knocked loudly. "Come in," Chief Undine called. "Sorry to bother you, but there's someone to see Officer Papyrus," she said. "Let me guess. Sans?" "Yes," she sighed. Undine turned to Papyrus, rubbing the bridge of her nose. "Get rid of him, Russ. We don't need his nose, or lack thereof, in our important case, especially with Toriel missing." Undine sighed and raised her eyebrow. "Russ, go ahead and get rid of Sans. Give him whatever info he needs. Just get him out of here faster." "You got it, Chief." Papyrus saluted and marched out the door, slamming it behind him. "Why do you keep that kid on active duty?" the rabbit asked. "This has been his dream since we were kids, and he was top of his class," Undine sighed glumly. "Didn't his brother fail out?" "Not exactly. He had straight A's and the highest GPA the instructors had seen in a while. He was a year ahead of me, and all of the instructors used him as an example of a model student." "Then why'd he drop out?" "It had to do with his dad's disappearance. He dropped out shortly after that. He didn't even give notice," she huffed. "Most of his friends felt hurt, and even more so when he became a PI. Once Russ got accepted into the academy, everyone figured he'd do the same. So it was a big surprise to everyone, except me, of course, when he graduated with full honors. What happens when he gets into an altercation with a real violent criminal? Why do you think I have him paired with the hounds, especially Doggo? Undine exhaled. I guess you know best, ma'am. I'll go back to work now. And with that, she turned and walked out the door. Make sure Sans leaves, Undine bellowed after her. Of course, ma'am. Meanwhile, while the rabbit monster went to get Russ, Sans had sat next to a large, clearly fell monster who was cuffed to a metal chair. What you in for? He asked, checking him. It's a good thing he knew how to check monsters without their knowledge. Otherwise, he might have been in for a little more of a rude encounter. What are ya, a cop? What are ya, a cop? The tall monster answered gruffly. Nah, do I really look like a cop to you? The fell monster didn't answer. Anyway, you didn't know anything about missing froggets, would ya? Nope, he said as he shifted away from Sans. Well, if you did, I might be able to give you a little hand. The monster shifted slightly towards him again. How do you intend to do that? I have my ways, Sans shrugged. There's word that homeless monsters are going missing in the eastern part of the New Fell. That's all I know. Now, what are you going to do to get me out? Well, Sans! Papyrus interrupted, marching out of the back room. Oh, hey, Russ, he said as he got up and walked over to him. What do you need, brother? Papyrus asked in his typical jovial tone. Chief said to hurry me out, huh? We're merely busy. Toriel is missing. Russ covered his mouth. Don't tell Undine, the chief I told you that, please. Of course, bro. Anyway, I'm working on a missing monster case, too. A few froggets went missing a day or two ago. Here are their names and info. Can you run them for me? He said as he handed his brother the paper. He took it and typed the information into an office computer. A short time later, a few pages printed out, and Russ handed them to Sans. Here you go, Sans. I hope this helps you solve the case, just as I always do. Of course, Russ. I'm sure this will help greatly. He turned to leave. Oh, hey, how long has Toriel been missing? About a day and a half. Why? Russ asked, puzzled. Just wondering, bro. Don't worry about it, he said as he made his way through to the lobby. Be careful, brother. Strange things have been happening. You too, bro, he said as he opened the door and walked out. He stopped when he saw the fell monster he'd talked to earlier. He turned to the rabbit at the desk. Hey, you have the wrong guy for case number 996599. That case requires a blue magic user. The monster you have in custody is an orange magic user. Look into it. He winked as he walked past the monster. There you go. Good luck, he said as he walked out the precinct door. Before he turned to see Russ and the rabbit monster talking, suddenly dread washed over him, much like the day before his dad vanished. He shrugged. Probably nothing. And that concludes chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed listening to the story and watching the speed paint. Tune in next time because my next page will likely be page 2 redraw, because it's been 8 years and I've changed my format a little bit since the first 5 or so pages. So if you like my art, consider subscribing to my channel and following me on DeviantArt and Tumblr under the same name. Ariana. So, thanks. Have a great day.